it's a day trip only. The overnight one was for the state competition, which we will not be participating in, which was also
So we don't really need to approve that one then?
I don't know, do you need to approve the day trip, or?
No.
No, this request
Just an
is
overnight
strictly
one.
for the
Then,
overnight
no, you
trip.
wouldn't need to approve anything.
All right. But we would have. All right. Then closure number 3, you don't need to take action on then. And that takes us then to acknowledgements and correspondence. Mr. Martin, you aware of any acknowledgements or correspondence?
No.
Mr. Myers? No. Okay. It'll take us to comments. As I mentioned earlier, the first comment section Mr. Menz is going to help us with, but there's been some interest in providing an opportunity for the board to talk candidly with the public in a less formal environment. Mr. Menz has been working on a way to structure that. Do you want to go ahead?
Sure. So we've had the board workshop scheduled for some time for this Saturday from noon to 4. I had sent out an email asking whether or not we could change the time. I think that's going to be problematic, not for everybody, but for some of the board members. And so I would recommend at this point we stay with 12 to 3. As you know, there have been a number of people who have expressed concern about wanting to engage the board in dialogue about the way certain things have transpired, but also to really look at how we move forward together. There's tremendous energy and passion around what's happening with the creation of Ypsilanti Community Schools. And so because of the time, I mean, and this is, you know, the clock is ticking. There are 9 days until you make the key decisions on educational programming, 23 until you decide which facilities to use, 118 until the new district starts. We thought, and the communications committee with Maria Sheila Edwards and Emma Jackson, as they looked at the calendar, there aren't a lot of days. And we don't want this to be the only session, but we thought we needed to start, and since we've got the board already scheduled to be present on that day, we wanted to dedicate the agenda for that purpose. And if the board is in agreement, we'll begin working with Ms. Jackson to provide information to the community and also request RSVPs. If we have 40 people, we can still meet at the White House in the PD room. If we have 140, we need to look at a different venue. So Mr. Martin would need to look and see if the cafeteria at the high school work or some other facility. And so first thing we need to know is whether or not the board's willing to proceed with that. And then we can work on structuring the agenda in a way that will lead to a positive dialogue between members of the community and the board related to the creation of this new district.
So are you looking for a response from the board this evening, or would you like board members to respond to you individually by email?
If you let us know tonight that you're willing to proceed, we can begin notifying people tomorrow so we get back to them.
All right, board response then? I certainly am in support of that. The only question that I would have is I know that there are a lot of things on the board's agenda, and obviously this will take precedence now over some other regular business items. Is there room in the schedule for it, so to speak? I mean, can we make allowances and this won't affect
For
our...
this month, we can. Once we get to April, we have, and that's another thing I'm going to spring on you, but where we're at in the process, we had a 4-hour session that I'd like to make a full-day session because I think we're going to get the person we want from Neola on board policies. And so we're going to try to cover the first reading of all the policies in one setting. It will be a marathon, but you'll thank me for doing it in one setting instead of having to do it in multiple. And this, for the month of March, is the one time where we had a little wiggle room in terms of what was on that agenda for the monthly workshop. And so I think it's a really good time to take advantage of this opportunity.
All right, I'm certainly supportive of it then. Other board members?
The only question would be, is there a specific topic that you're giving the community to talk to us on that day?
So we're looking at dividing it into 2 parts of this agenda, and then with other community forums going forward, we want to really focus around the work of the advisory committees and the substantive structure of the district. The first part of the meeting we really want to dedicate to listening, and we've got some structures in terms of how we can do that with the board and the community that will be constructive as a part of that process. And then we also want to be able to, through that process, identify what some of the issues are that may need to be addressed, where we bring the group together and we kind of dispel some of the myths or, clarify misinformation that's been circulating in the community. So think about that as the first half. In the second half, we've got two really big things that we're working on at the present time. One is the selection process for high-quality teachers. The other is the small learning communities. We need to finalize which of those two we may want to tackle, but we want to really use the work of the advisory committees, and they meet on Thursday night of this week. So Naomi will talk with the group to figure out who's best positioned to engage in a conversation. So the second half of the conversation, we focused on some aspect of that work, focusing on the future decisions of the board and where we're going so that we can engage in dialogue. I think you saw at the meeting on Thursday that there's a whole lot of questions that come up when we do the presentation. We want to create an environment, forum where people can ask those questions and engage in dialogue. And so we can model how that might look for future forums with the second half of the retreat on Saturday.
And I guess my only other concern would be how, so the meeting don't go south when we go to public comment. Are we going to have some type of structure where we don't get caught up in that type of dialogue too?
So essentially, the way we're thinking about the meeting on Saturday is not to create it as a board forum like this where we have public comment, but we have it as a workshop where we're listening and engaging in dialogue. From the very beginning, we want to set a tone that is respectful. So we may talk about some norms for the dialogue and exchange of ideas. I do think we have to put some things on the table, but do it in a respectful way, and ultimately end up where, as we leave the room, we want to be focused on the future vision for the kids of the community, while being respectful about the concerns. I think there's a way to structure it so that it doesn't go south.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns from the board on this topic?
I think it's a great idea. I'm glad that we have the opportunity to get together on Saturday. It's entirely possible that I won't be available, but I want you all to know you have my full support moving forward. Naomi and I spent a time on Saturday putting together some ideas, and I'm sure that they'll make sure that happens.
Thank you very much. All right, superintendent comments?
No comments tonight?
Board comments? Mr. Gear. Ms. Shelton.
I think you had a request from me for an overnight trip to state summer games also. We do qualify for that, and if you could approve that trip. It's to Central Michigan University.
What's
Do you have
on
that
this
before
one?
you?
What's on this one is only for March
For the
22nd through
basketball?
23rd.
Oh, okay, I thought you had both of them. Okay.
We will promise to get the summer one at another meeting,
Okay,
well in advance. Thank you.
thank you so much.
No problem. And thank you for bringing it up because we would not want to miss that. I hope I get this right. I'm not the basketball fan that Mr. Garrett is, but we want to wish good luck to the boys, Ypsilanti boys Phoenix, as they take on Ann Arbor's Pioneer, which happens to be my alma mater, and I hope they beat them. So this is, if I understand correctly, the first round of districts. The other thing I want to acknowledge is that the Ypsilanti Flyers played their final game as the Willow Run Ypsilanti Flyers Friday night. I understand it was a wonderful event. They organized something with some T-shirts, and I understand they really had did a stellar job, played a great match, and really honored the Willow Run community with their work.
Can I joke with you?
Please do.
You said Ypsilanti Flyers. That sounds real good. just put that bug in your ear. That sounds real good. But also, Willow Run plays in Whitmore Lake on Wednesday at 7:30. So anybody who's basketball fans like I am is filled this week if you're an Ypsi and Willow Run fan.
And so Ypsi plays that. Do they have another game this week? Or?
If they win, they play Wednesday.
Play Wednesday. Okay. All right. Well, we'll try and keep the websites posted with the greatest and latest. So, other board comments? There being no further business to come before the board, then this meeting is adjourned.
All right.
And
see you good people later.
You won't make the tip off, but it'll be
I'll be close. I'll be definitely close.